Good evening, tubers. Madam Roy back again. Yes, I could. By looking at the comments, I can see that we've had people here for quite a while. Hello to everybody. I'm just going to say a general hello to everybody. It just takes too long to do that. So everybody that's been here for a while, hello, hello, hello. I am wearing my Bad Catitude shirt. Let's see. What does it say? Disgruntledly conduct, bad catitude. Catnip made me do it. There you go. Oddly tall cat too. What did he say? This cat is 4 feet 2 inches tall. That's one big pussy cat. What do we got? We got 8 watchers and no likes. All right, come on, give me some likes here. Well, you guys wouldn't know if you liked it yet or not, so that's fine. All right, let's see. George Blakely likes my shirt. Thank you, George. I wore this all day long, even when I was thrifting, if you will. Didn't get any comments. I guess people don't get the humor in these kind of shirts. A lot of people just like to wear those bland, plain colored shirts. I mean, that's not me. I have a few of them in my closet, but most of the time I want to wear something that's a little bit more cheery. Rumasay was the first to like. Wow, I think everybody started liking too. That's awesome. Eric Brunhammer says he shut off another live stream to come to this one. Hey, you know what? Split screen. Have them both going at the same time. Stephen Barber, I am home. I wake up my computer and the GPU driver wants to update. Isn't that something? Well, it depends. If you got an AMD video card, then yeah, I'd say that's par for the course. But NVIDIA doesn't seem to update as much. I have a new driver for my ATI card. It seems like every other day. Stephen Barber says, burn the thing. That's funny. All right. So, couple things. He only buys AMD. Yeah, there's your answer right there. So, couple things I want to show you guys. Since we got so many watchers already, I guess I'll go ahead and show you guys some of the things I picked up while I was thrifting today. Let me pull this up here because for the life of me, can never remember the name of this mouse. I know I looked it up more than once. Devices. Here we go. Okay. One of the first things I picked up today is this wireless Bluetooth mouse, which is kind of weird. You see, it's got the Microsoft logo. It is a Microsoft mouse. And then the back button kind of looks like the Windows Start menu icon, the Windows 8 or the Windows 10 Start menu icon. And the way I knew this was Bluetooth, if you look on the bottom here, right in the middle, I don't know if my thing will see it. You see the middle button right there? You can see the Bluetooth logo right next to it if I get it in close enough. There you go. And you can actually see the little blue LED on there. I paid, I think it was $2 for this, $1.99. And these actually still retail for about 30 to 40 bucks at Best Buy. So not a bad deal. I have it hooked up to this computer. I'm actually using it in conjunction with my Logitech G7 mouse, which I've had this mouse for years now, and I love this mouse. If you guys ever get a chance to buy one of these mice, do it. They are really expensive, though. They haven't made these in like 10 years, close to 10 years, and used, these things are really expensive. Oh yes, Stephen Barber. Yeah, don't use sleep mode if you can help it. Sleep mode degrades Windows very quickly. Either leave your computer on or shut it off. Using sleep mode, Windows builds up errors very, very quickly. Yeah, don't do that. Eric Brunhammer says he wants to do some thrifting this weekend. Yeah, do a thrift store finds video. I really haven't been finding anything all that great. I found a bunch of monitors earlier, which I can't really bring in here and show you guys, so I'll just tell you what they were. One was a Fuji brand. Yes, a Fuji, like the camera manufacturer, 20-inch. Got a 19-inch AOC. I got a 22-inch Samsung SyncMaster 2233 BW, something like that, and a few other like cheaper monitors. But I will go over some of the other things I got. So I'll go ahead and show you the next thing. This is a Logitech webcam model number V-UAX16. Decent webcam. It's an older generation one, probably a 720p, just a regular HD. I wound up giving $3 for this one, which I thought was a good deal. Oddly enough, they have the same one at our local CHKD, and they want $5 for it. And I passed on that because I really thought that that was too expensive. But what's great about these is if you're like me and you're reselling computers, just pairing a webcam with a desktop will entice people to buy. It cost me $3 or $4 to buy this, but at the end of the day, I might make a sale because of the webcam. And what I do when I take pictures of the computer, I just sit this right on the monitor, just like you would be using it, when it's your computer, and that really entices people to buy the computers a lot of times. Miss Jimmy said he got the same one at Cash Converters for $1. Wow, that's a good deal. New Zealand, I don't know what the conversion is on that, but yeah, either way, these are great. Logitech makes some of the best webcams. I usually try to stay away from the HP or the Microsoft webcams. I've had a lot of quality issues with those. Ruben says, hey, Matt, do you have a review of your Dell Precision T3400? Not yet. I'm probably going to wait until I do the upgrades on it. Mainly, well, right now, the only thing planned for that is an SSD upgrade, but we'll see. It'll probably be coming in the near future. Again, like I've said before, a lot of the videos I want to do in my room are going to have to wait until I have the house to myself. And who knows when that's going to be. So for the time being, I'll try to give you guys as much content as I possibly can with these live streams. The reason I can do the live streams is because I've actually set an hour block with mom and dad where they promise they'll be quiet. Maybe if this works in the near future, I'll be able to do other videos in my room. The Dell Precision, the T3400, I'm running Windows 10 on that, Windows 10 Professional. Scott Keeley says he only buys Logitech devices, speakers, wireless keyboards, gaming mice, and such. Yeah, I love Logitech. Their quality is really some of the best in the market. The only thing I will say is I've run into some very good Microsoft branded mice, but their keyboards, their webcams, they're, to a lesser extent, maybe their microphones are not as good a quality. What I'm doing this live stream on now is a Logitech webcam. For those that you were curious, because I know somebody's asked this before, it's a Logitech HD Pro webcam C920. This is one of their higher end webcams. This is a full HD 1080p webcam, which I actually picked up, I don't know, maybe 6-7 months ago at a local thrift store. And I only gave about $10 for it. And at the time, I thought that was a little high until I got home and I looked it up and I realized these were still selling for $90 to $100. So then I realized, heck, I got a really good deal. Charlie Lipinski, I hate this. My chat window keeps turning off. I don't know why. Opinion on Dell Latitude D600 and D10 systems. Very, very well made computers. They're on the old side now. It's really limited to what you can do with them. But they pretty much will last forever. They're business class systems. I'll save us a lot of time. Anything Dell makes that's business class, the Latitude series, the Optiplex series, the Vostro series of computers are all excellent, with maybe the possible exception of the Dell Vostro 4, what was it, the 410 or the 430? I can't remember, but it was the older one that they had when Vista came out. they did have some issues with the capacitors. They suffered from that capacitor plague. Flips May says, do you think Windows 7 will be the next XP after end of support? I know it will. As a matter of fact, we're pretty much there, because even though they're still technically releasing security updates for Windows 7, they're not doing any actual rollouts. In other words, they're not doing any feature updates. So even at this point, I'm actually migrating most of my clients from Windows 7 to either Windows 8 or Windows 10. Yeah, definitely. And it's sad, because Windows 7 is a great operating system, but you can't live in the past. And I know so many people out there loved Windows 7 just like they loved Windows XP. But they're old, they're outdated. You got to move on at this point. Windows 7 extended support ends next year. That isn't the regular support, I think, ended in 2017. But yeah, the extended support ends next year. Ruben wants to know, do I still like Windows XP? Yeah, I had nothing against Windows XP. Again, it was good in its day, but now it's just it's too old. I mean, if you're going to use a computer, if you use a Windows XP computer offline to maybe play XP era games, that's fine. But I would never recommend using Windows XP on the internet nowadays. Just too insecure. All right, so moving on. Another thing that I got today, basically from the same thrift store I got the first two items I showed you. It's called Family Thrift Store. Something kind of interesting. This is a CompuCessory. Missing the A there, if you can see that. It's a pack of 3.5-inch high density discs, and they are high density because they're 1.44 megabytes, and you guys can probably read it back there. 1.44 megabytes. Formatted, 100% error-free certification, high quality data storage, MF2HD, which basically just means it's a high density 1.44 megabyte floppy. The thing that makes me laugh the most is they actually gave a model number to this pack. It's model number 71050. What's to give a model number to? They're floppy disks. Maybe it's because they're different amounts. Like this is actually a pack of 50. And it says made in Taiwan or manufactured in Taiwan. So I'd assume they're decent quality. A lot of not just floppy disks, but optical media, zip disks. A lot of them were made in Taiwan, and they were actually the better quality ones. And you can see that the price was reduced several times. It started at $2.98, went down to $1.98, and then I got it for 99 cents. Don't particularly need any more floppies, but there's going to come a time in the future where you cannot find these things to save your life. So I figured better to stock up now and not have to pay an exorbitant amount when these become even more rare than they are now. All right. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? 5 terabyte floppy disk. I know some 5 terabyte tape drives. Matter of fact, Linus Tech Tools bought a tape drive that I think is like each tape holds like 2 terabytes of space, and they're crazy expensive. They're like $2,600. Wow, Flips May says, last time I went to Goodwill, I found a 10-pack of zip disks. They're even more rare than floppy disks now. As a matter of fact, I got to show you this sometime. I got to dig it out of my closet. I have one of the Zip 750 drives, which I believe was the highest capacity zip disk ever made. And I bought the drive, and then wouldn't you know it, about a week later, I found a case. I'm kidding you not, a case of about 100 Zip 750 disks. They're still sitting in my closet right now. I got to figure out what I want to do with them, because unfortunately that Zip 750, bit the dust a few years ago, and for the life of me, I can't find one locally, and I'm not going to spend the amount of money that they want for those on eBay, because again, these vintage items like that are bringing a real premium on eBay. Mr. Jimmy says, I never liked floppy disks. They would fail on me too much. They did have a pretty high failure rate, but it did depend on the disk that you bought. I always found Fuji disks were some of the best ones. Oh, I have an itchy nose tonight. I've been having some allergy-related problems lately. But if you got the real cheap ones, Shamtron was a brand that I had a lot of trouble with. Imation, believe it or not, I had a lot of discs fail, but Fuji always seemed to hold up pretty well for me. All right, I'm losing the chat again. Oh, here we go. Eric Brunhammer said, when I was in college, I had a crazy sound system in my car that would erase floppy disks if I wasn't careful. LOL. Yeah, didn't we all? I remember I had a 1988 Ford Econoline van back, 5, 6, probably more like 10 years ago now. I only had it for a short time because I had some issues with water leakage and could never get the AC to stay working. But I put a pretty decent system in there. I wound up putting in six 6x9 Sony Explode speakers up top, had a subwoofer in the back, and I think I had it was an Alpine CD deck at the time, and I think I had in that like 1,000-watt amp. It was smoking. Of course, at the time, that was about as good as you could do. There were no DVD players yet, not for cars at least. We're talking early 2000s here. 15 watchers and 9 likes. Wow. I'm actually surprised. I thought with all the enthusiasm, all the people commenting before I started, that this would actually be a bigger event than yesterday's, but we'll have to see. I've noticed that generally about half an hour in is when I get an explosion of watchers. Oh, there we go. Flips May, all the aftermarket car stereos these days look extremely obnoxious with the LED lights. Yeah, I can't even imagine trying to drive at night with some of these stereos. I mean, to me, that would just blind you. I can't even think it would be safe, to be honest with you. The stock radio in my van is more than enough for me. I have one of those Chrysler radios that has the touch screen. Not the navigation. Mine does have the 30 gigabyte hard drive. And now that I'm thinking about it, I need to finally do a review of my van. I know it's been over a year. I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. Well, part of it is all the craziness that happened this year. The other part is I really don't want to do it when it's 100 degrees. And believe it or not, being October 4th today, it got up to about 96 degrees. So fall in this area does not usually start until the middle of October, but this year has just been crazy, crazy hot. Ruben says his mom's car is a 94 Honda Accord. That was the first year of that style. That was a decent car. Very good friend of mine up in New York, she had one of those for years. Unfortunately, they've gotten rid of it now because it rotted out. Fun fact, a lot of people up in northern areas, I've noticed, when I go up there, they tend to have a lot of American cars. Down here, you find a good mix. You have a lot of American cars, Japanese cars, Korean cars. And I was asking somebody up there why, and it was interesting what they told me. And this kind of makes sense. I actually looked this up too. Japanese cars, Korean cars rot out a lot quicker than American cars. And the reason is they use thinner grades of steel. Most of the world's steel is actually produced in the United States or Canada. So all the American cars get the better steel. Whereas if you buy something like a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry or any of the Japanese or Korean made cars up in New York, they tend to rot out a lot quicker. Just something I found very interesting. I-386. Hey Matt, does your van have Uconnect? My Dodge Ram 2013 is you. It used to read text messages, but now it will not read them. I think it's a defect. My van has Uconnect capability, but it was not installed by the dealer. It was something that I would have to install. In other words, my radio has that functionality, but none of the wiring. I believe it's like a microphone, or the wiring to the controls on the steering wheel was never installed. I probably won't bother at this point. I have my little Bluetooth speaker that works in the car when I need to take calls. I'll probably just wait until my next vehicle because it's really expensive to get that installed. It's like $700-800, and that's a bunch of car payments, and I'm just not willing to shell that kind of money out. I know I could be on the cheap side sometimes, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Mr. Jimmy says people in the U.S. should drive on the left. Well, let me tell you something. People in this country have a hard enough time driving on the right. If you made a change like that, I couldn't even imagine how many accidents there would be. Yes, we do. We drive on the right side here. Yeah, we do. See if anybody gets that. Eric Brunhammer says in GM cars, they generally have everything there and wired up, but it is a simple computer flash. Interesting. I wouldn't doubt it. I'm not an expert in this field. I really should, if that's the case, if everything is just wired up in my van and it just needs like a firmware update, I should really look into that. We have a local audio shop called Premier Auto Sound that I could take my van to, and I'm sure they could probably determine that in a matter of minutes. Stephen Barber still has Kmart's in New Zealand. Yeah, they're becoming far and few between here. The Kmart in our area closed about a year ago, and I just found out that the Kmart that we used to go to when we lived in New York is closing. It's one of the ones on the chopping block this year. And I have very fond memories of that because that's actually where I got my first TV when I was about 10 years old, and that was like a little 13-inch Philco. See if any of you guys remember that brand, Philco. Pup Dog 101's here. Awesome. I told you about 20 minutes, half an hour in. I always get a lot of watchers come. Maybe I need to start these at 7:30 instead of 7. Yeah, we'll see. I-386 says, I see a bunch of American Chevy trucks in the Bahamas. Also, the van taxi I rode in, the steering wheel was on the left, so it was from the U.S. Interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, it stands to reason. A lot of these island countries import American vehicles because they don't rot, at least not as quickly as some of the Japanese vehicles and the Korean vehicles. Eric Brunhammer says, I'm only a year younger than you, but I remember Philco. Yeah, it was funny because Philco's peak was like in the 60s and 70s, but they kind of disappeared in the 80s. But in the early 90s, somebody acquired them. It was either like Funai or one of the Japanese brands. And they released these little 13-inch TVs that Kmart, Walmart sold, and that was one of the ones that I had. And that was actually a really well-made TV. We had that for about 15 years until I got my next bigger TV, which was like a 19-inch Orion, which that thing was horrible. And when we got rid of that TV, it was still working. Yes, I-386. I think you are right. I believe it was Magnavox that took over the Philco name. Thank you. Matter of fact, I know it was because I remember seeing those TVs under the brand Philco and Magnavox. Thank you for mentioning that, by the way. Let's see if I can find a picture of that for you guys. I'd be very surprised if I could. It really, okay. Let me see if I can pull this up. Of course, it doesn't want to come up. Let me try this one. Yeah, I'm trying to pull the website up with the image so you guys can see what my first TV looked like, but it's really not cooperating. I'm using Google Images, and sometimes, unfortunately, you really don't get the image that you're looking for. Oh well, moving on. Tyler's here. He says, "Hey Matt, thought I'd stop and say hi. I would stay, but I'm depressed. It almost been 5 years since I lost two family members. Man, I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I'll keep you in my prayers. I always do. I want you to know that because we all go through a lot of things at times, and that's just something you got to do for your friends." That's Rap says, Matt, you look growling and dark in the thumbnail. Yeah, that's because when I took that one, I didn't have the overhead light on, and I was using the fluorescent light here only. So yeah, I'll try to do better with the thumbnail tomorrow. I'm just really tired, so yeah, it is what it is. You guys got the idea. Robert Jones, Matt, what do you know about Google Voice? A little bit. I mean, it's not something I use on a regular basis. Google Voice is a telephony service that provides call forwarding and voicemail services. Okay, yeah, I do have one thing I want to say about this, and it's something that a lot of people don't know and should know. When you're selling on these platforms, specifically Craigslist, I've had people call me that are scam calls. And the way I know they're scam calls is they'll ask you to call them back. And when you call them back, they'll ask you to enter your Google Voice number. And if you enter anything in that phone, they have you, and they actually have access to your cell phone. So be very, very aware of that. If you're selling on one of these platforms, Craigslist, OfferUp, any of them, but I've noticed it more on Craigslist. And you call these people back, or you get a call and it says, "Please enter your Google Voice number." Hang up immediately. It is a total scam. That's the extent of my experience with Google Voice. Pup Dog 101 says, "Did you see our Ford truck?" No, I haven't. I have not been really watching a lot of YouTube videos recently. Interesting. I didn't know that one, Eric. I'll read it out loud. To quote a British TV show called The IT Crowd, which I do know that show and love it. We have two lovely children, Zenith and Quasar. I don't remember that episode. I'll have to go back and watch the reruns. Stephen Barber said his mother got hacked that way, and she had to change her phone number. It happened to me once. I was very lucky in the fact I was able to reset my phone and not have to change my phone number. But I'm just giving you guys that information because it is a real known problem at this point. Whoop. I don't know what's going on. My chat window's not working at the moment. Okay, that'll give me time to show you the last thing I want to show you that I picked up today, which is actually something really cool. This is a pair of Altec Lansing. Yeah, Altec Lansing makes some really good speakers. These are semi-vintage, like mid-2000s. These are the Powered Audio System 120i's. These do not look like much, but I'm telling you, I've had these in the past. These things will shake your house. If you're in a semi-small room and you plug these into your computer and turn the volume up, these things have some crazy bass. So if you guys are anywhere and you ever see these speakers, pick them up. I wound up getting these for I think it was like $3.98, so $4, and it came with everything, including the power supply. So great speakers. If I don't break them, and that has happened before. And that was about it from the thrift store finds. I did get a bunch of desktop power cords, which you guys are probably not interested in, but I did get those, and the monitors. That's pretty much what I got today. Interesting. I've been putting myself out there to some of the pawn shops, and I actually watched a video about this the other day about a gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he was picking up a lot of old computer systems from pawn shops. And I actually went to one that's right near a thrift store we have, and I asked him. I went and said, "Hello, do you get like a lot of computer towers, monitors, things that maybe people have pawned that are still sitting in the back that they never came and picked up?" And he said, "Yeah, we do." And I said, "Well, I'm interested in possibly buying them." And he said, "Well, great, I'll put a bunch together and just contact me next week." So if you guys are trying to do the computer resale game like I am, that might just be another avenue for you guys to look into. Stephen Barber said, "Those remind me of my HPS Harman Kardon. Man, it was some bass. I love them. Came with the HP Pavilion A720N." Yeah, I think they were pretty much the same speakers, just different, branded differently. Flips May says, "My pawn shops have nothing. Have you asked? Because mine don't either. My pawn shops never have anything in the front of house, but you never know unless you ask what they have in the back." Yeah, Eric, I don't remember that episode. I'll have to go back and look. If you find it, let me know. I'm really interested because that quote's classic. I mean, only a tech nerd would get it, but that's really funny. Fry asks, "Have you been to a non-Walmart supercenter?" Not in a long time. Our last regular Walmart turned into a supercenter about 5 years ago, and that's probably the last time I was in one that wasn't a supercenter. Chris Bartlett wants to know, will the computers from the pawn shop be expensive or cheap? I don't know. I didn't ask price because I didn't actually see the computers. The worst thing you can do is tell the owners of the pawn shops, well, this is what you buy them for, because you don't know what they have. Let them bring out the computers, size them up. If they allow you to, plug them in, and make sure they work, and put a bunch together. And as Frank from American Picker says, do the bundle deal. In other words, put a whole bunch of computers to the side that you're interested in and offer them a set price for all those computers. The worst they can do is say no. You are never obligated to buy something just because they've taken it out of the back room. I used to feel that way. There were times I would go to thrift stores and I'd have them bring a bunch of computers out of the back room, and I would realize that they were junk and I'd never be able to resell them, but I would buy them because I felt bad that I made them bring them out. I will not do that anymore because, one, I don't have the room for it, and two, once they price them, they can just stick them right out on the shelves. So you're not really wasting anybody's time there. Yeah, Eric, I've seen that before. He said that they tried making his Walmart supercenter or his Walmart into a supercenter without making it physically bigger. So all the sections are smaller than they were before. They did one of those with a Walmart up in Norwich, New York, and it's okay, but the food store side is pretty tightly packed. And there goes my chat window again. I don't know what the heck's going on. It keeps fading out for some reason. Mr. Jibby says, "I love cash converters near me. They sell stuff really cheap. If they have a problem, I score a i5 Toshiba laptop for $5 and work fine other than some keys on the keyboard are not working." Believe it or not, we actually do have cash converters here. We have one or two in Virginia Beach, and I think another one in Norfolk. I'll have to check them out again. They're hit and miss though. It depends on the managers. There were a few times I went there and the managers were absolutely ridiculous with their prices. I'm talking they're wanting like $300 for that same computer you just got $5 for. Really? Max O'Neill says I should use Firefox for the streaming instead of Chrome. Since the new update, it works better. I'll give that a try next time. I mean, nobody's been complaining. I mean, you guys, I've actually what I do is afterwards I watch part of the streams just to make sure everything went through well, and I looked good on there. The sound quality seems to be decent, as decent as it can be. One thing I really hope that YouTube does in the future is improve the sound quality, because the video quality is great. The sound quality in these live streams is just kind of so-so. And believe me, it's not the webcam. This webcam has fantastic stereo sound. I-386 wants to know, Matt, do you remember Curtis Mathis? Their TVs was a clone of, I think, RCA. Yes, they were. They were the exact same thing. Yeah, they were sold by Kmart in my area. They used to sell back in the 90s console TVs under that name, and they were okay. Though early to mid 90s, actually early mid late 90s, RCA and GE televisions always suffered with bad tubes. I don't know why, but they just did. The tubes would start to fail after a few years. Well, I'm still doing good, everybody, on my diet. I'm still doing the intermittent fasting, and I'm still drinking this LaCroix. This is one I got at Dollar Tree today. This is the grapefruit with other natural flavors. I love the smell of this. I can sit here and just smell. I love grapefruit. I haven't had it in a while because it's really not in season. It's a summer fruit, but love it, love it. Robert Jones, Matt, what do you think about people who want you to swipe your card through a square to buy bootleg DVDs? Don't do it. Matter of fact, I don't buy bootleg DVDs at all. It's really dying that business anyway, because you have things like Netflix, Amazon Video or Prime Video, Hulu. You don't really need to do it. Most movies you want to see are on there anyway, and at least in Netflix's case, you can even download those movies now. So don't do it. You're going to get caught. Believe me. Stephen Barber says he uses OBS. I'm assuming OBS Studio, and yes, it does work. I used to use that, but I never had that good of luck with it. If you guys remember the few times that I did live streams with that, the first few minutes I wound up sounding like Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks, and I never could get that fixed. It got better with the future updates, but hey, I find this works well. I'm of the school, the KISS school of thought, which is keep it simple, stupid, and it really stands to reason. The more simple it is, the less chance you have of having problems, and the more fun it is for you guys. Flips May, have you ever considered or used the Pirate Bay to Pirates Bay? Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I looked into it a few years back, but I never really used it. It never really worked. Unfortunately, they always took it down. I-386, you should do a Alvin. There it goes again. Sorry, guys. Chat window's gone again. There we go. Used to do an Alvin special. Make your voice sound like Alvin again. Wouldn't that be fun? Yeah, I might. I know this guy, Monk Media. If you guys probably know him, if you're big Alvin and the Chipmunks fans, he does a really good job. He has the equipment to do that. I'll leave that up to him. He's a professional when it comes to that. Maxwell says the many of times I've made OBS capture pics for people, the amount of times I've had to team viewer to their PCs to set it up. Yeah, team viewer is pretty cool. I dabble with that a little bit. I don't do a lot with remote desktops though, because again, a lot of my clients are elderly and they wouldn't understand what I was doing anyway, so I'd rather have them bring the computer to me or I go out to them. Thank you, Tyler. I appreciate you being here, buddy. I try to make your live streams, and I have. I've watched quite a few of your live streams. Unfortunately, I usually catch them after the fact. I know, right? That's why you don't see me commenting a lot. Captain Thunder Eyes says hello. I like that username. Fry wants to know if you can add a GPU in Windows XP. Well, I mean, you can, if it's a desktop, you can add a new GPU into any desktop, but you need to make sure they have drivers for it. That's the only problem you might run into. And there goes the chat window again. Tyler says, I quit computer repair. I got tired of Microsoft always upgrading, so it just seems to make me hate doing it. You know, there are times I get discouraged when I'm repairing computers, but at the end of the day, I got to think, you know, I'm helping people that wouldn't know how to get it repaired any other way. So that makes me feel good. Flips May, it would be cool if UXW Bill made a live stream. He used to. A couple of years back, he and V Westlife and a couple other people did like a few weeks of them. They actually set up like a makeshift studio, and I think what he called the Roach Palace. No, I take it back. I think it was in the basement of his house, but it was interesting. I don't know if he's getting discouraged with YouTube or what, because he hasn't hardly put any content out recently. Let me see when his last video was. His last video, okay, he put one out 18 hours ago. Before that, I think you have to go back a few weeks to a month. UXW Bill, I don't know if you ever watch my live streams, but if you see this, please put out some more content. He is extremely knowledgeable, even more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to electronics. Really cool guy. I'd love to meet him someday. Yeah, he coined that phrase smoke test. Max Neal says, yay, man, I remember he said he was bored of computer-related videos. I guess you're talking about UXW Bill, not Tyler. Yeah, we do watch a lot of the same stuff. I think we have the same interests. Yeah. I think what happens is people get into spurts of what they want to do. Like for the longest time, I used to do only tech related videos. Then I got into doing vlogs, and now I'm more into the live streams. And I'll probably get back into doing the tech related videos again. At the end of the day, you got to do what makes you happy. And if this didn't give me some form of satisfaction, I wouldn't be doing it. I mean, I'm glad you guys enjoy it too. But at the end of the day, if this didn't keep my interest, I wouldn't be doing it. I'm just being brutally honest. And there goes the chat window again. Oh, YouTube, come on. Fix your software. There we go. Stephen Barber, UXW Bill is cool. So is Max Arcade. I think we all watch the same stuff. Absolutely. And I just saw Max Arcade put up a new video first one in almost a year now. He's more into the audio equipment, though. He dabbles in computers, but I think his job is he repairs like vintage audio equipment. He has some really cool setups. If you go back and watch his older videos, he has some seriously sick amps. I mean, stuff that's like 1,000, 1,500 watts. I don't even know how he powers it in his house, to be honest. Eric Brunhammer says, I'm going to try to do more tech-related videos soon. I may do some stuff Saturday afternoon. I didn't get bored. I just don't have the facilities to do it anymore. You know, the thing about it is you gotta pace yourself, and planning, and what do I want to call this, not just financially, but life planning. Using your time wisely has never been one of my strong suits, but people that you could even get somebody to do it for you. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about right now. I'm actually starting to get pretty tired, but if you want to plan your life better, you can actually get like a life planner. They'll actually sit down with you and take your entire week and take each hour block each day and plan what you're going to do for that hour. Now, me personally, I would hate that. I got to be more spontaneous than that. If I knew what I was doing every single day, every hour, every day, every week, I couldn't handle that. I'm a very spontaneous person. That's just in my nature. Not very organized though. Not like I should be. Flips May says, I need a pet cat. Yeah, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with cats. Other than the fact that if you don't keep their claws trimmed, they'll scratch the living crap out of all your furniture. They will. I mean, that's just what cats do. And don't ever declaw a cat. I know people that have done that, and that is like the most cruel thing you do to a cat. Believe it or not, it's the equivalent of removing a human finger to this point. It's so inhumane. Let me get another sip here. It's amazing, as humid as it is out, it's still very dry in the house at the same time. That's one negative to having a central AC. AC works by removing the humidity in the house, so actually your house gets very very dry at times, almost as bad as the winter. And the one thing I really miss is when we lived in New York, we had oil-based radiator heats, which were great. I remember in the morning I would stick my foot. I would lay in bed and I stick my foot on the radiator to get it warm. And the nice thing about that is it's not drying. Well, now that we live down here, we have forced air heating, which is one of the worst types of heating because it just not only does it dry the air out, it also kicks up a lot of dust. Basically, with radiator heating, there is no fan. It just like the name suggests, it radiates the heat all throughout the house. If I had my choice again when I buy a house, I'm going to get a radiator. Even if it's an electric radiator, it's going to be got to be better than the forced air heating that we have. Eric Brunhammer says the main reason he rescued Rotella is because she was declawed by the person who dumped her at the store I worked at. That's so sad. I did own a declawed cat myself. Simon was declawed, but I didn't do it. He had already been declawed before we got him. And you could tell it was really sad because there were times where he would need like this. And you could tell there were times he really wanted to put his claws out and he couldn't because they were gone. Very sad. I would never do it. Never, never. Never, ever, never. Sorry, spelled that wrong. That's okay. Hang on. I'm missing some comments here. Yeah, he said Rokella instead of Rotella. It happens, dude. We all make typos. Fry said it would be cool if Billy Core would make a live stream. I honestly don't think he will. I know that he's talked a lot about his anxiety issues. Um, I have similar issues, which I've overcome over a period of time and a lot of counseling, believe it or not. Um, I just don't think he'll do it. He likes the type of videos that he does. I think if he was gonna do like these kind of live streams, he probably already would have done it. Hey, you could suggest it. I'm not saying he never would, but I tend to doubt he would. Eric Brunhammer said, there was a time I was playing with my mom's cat and ended up bleeding. Yeah, that join the club. That's happened several times. I was like, oh yeah, cats normally have claws. Ha 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 ha. Yes, they do, and very sharp ones. So you really can cut your own cat's claws. We do it with Baxter and Milo all the time. All you need is a pair of clippers. Now I'm not talking about cat clippers, just regular nail clippers. And what you do is you squeeze their paw, and that'll expose the claw, and you look for the quick, which is where the blood vessel is, and you can actually see it very easily. And you cut just above that, and you do that for each claw. Some cats are better than others. Baxter is a little bit better than Milo, mainly because the best way to do it is to hold the cat on their back. And Baxter's cool with that. Milo absolutely hates it. Flips Me says he had anxiety when he was a child. Number one rule, always be positive, do not be negative. That's a very good idea. And I try to be, though I fail at times, but most of the time I succeed. And I want to give you guys a fitness update. I got on the scale this morning. I am officially 246 pounds. So I can't believe it. Do you guys realize that means I am 6 pounds away from my goal weight? My ultimate goal when I started this whole thing was to get to 240 pounds. I'm 6 pounds away. I mean, to be truly honest with you, I thought with all things I've done at this point, I'd already be there, but I didn't factor in that I'm gaining muscle, because I am. I mean, I look at my legs in the mirror and I've gained a lot of muscle there. Also, I've gained a lot of muscle here too. So muscle weighs more than fat. So it really evens out. I've probably actually gained 10 pounds of muscle. So if you factor that in, I'm really at my goal weight at this point. I-386, I work retail. After 5 or 6 hours, you're ready to leave. I don't blame you. I've worked retail a lot of my life. I used to work at Best Buy. I was on the Geek Squad, and I'm sure a lot of you guys probably know that, but I'll say it again. I also worked in the sales department there, and even though for the most part the customers are really nice, every once in a while you would get that customer that would just ruin your day. I'll never forget the time that, and this was at a time when I was pretty heavy. I would say I was probably 370, 380. A customer came in and I said, "Can I help you?" And the customer was a woman, and she said, "No, no, I don't want your help." And she was looking. All the other sales associates in the computers. This is when I was working sales. Were busy, and you could tell that she wanted something. And I went over again. I said, "Ma'am, are you sure I can't help you? I mean, it looks like you're looking for something." She's like, "No, you're too fat." Actually, that actually came out of their mouth. "You're too fat. Go away." And I actually had customers like that. And that was one time I literally wanted to go in the back room and cry. I'm like, how can one person be so cruel? But now I realize that sometimes you just have to deal with ignorant people. And I just walked away from it. I actually saw that customer come in a few more times. And I'll never forget, I told the manager what had happened. And one time that she came in, he actually threw her out of the store, literally threw her out of the store. And that just made my day, because people like that, they don't deserve any compassion whatsoever. Mr. Jimmy said, "I would lose my job if she said that to me. I would deck her." You know what? Um, that probably did go through my mind at the time, but I really didn't want to go to jail. You know what I mean? As a guy, I would never hit a woman. You never hit a woman. That's just something you never do. I don't care how mean and vindictive they can be at times. I'm sorry for any of the women that are watching this. But yeah, you never do that. Eric Brunhammer says, "I work in auto parts sales. I deal mostly with the shops in the area. There are times the stress starts to get to me. It takes a lot of patience." Yeah, it really does. Retail is not an easy job. There aren't a lot of easy jobs out there. Let's be brutally honest. But retail, having to deal with the public, it just stinks. I think probably the only job that's worse than that is a server, a waiter, or a waitress. That's a job I would never wish on anybody. It's great money, and I know people that do it that actually enjoy it, but I don't know how. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen people treat servers like dirt. Jonathan Grindle says, Matt, if you ever buy projectors at garage sales, the NEC and Epson are the ones worth getting because you can buy parts for them. Interesting. I knew about the Epson ones. I didn't know about the NECs. I do have two projectors. I have an in focus one that I got at a church sale for $1, and I also have that Dell DLP projector that I got for $10 from a warehouse sale, and they work great. Though I realize that if they ever go bad, the bulbs or anything, I'll probably have to just ditch them. And John the Griddle said in focuses are crap. Mine still works just fine. Mine's an older one too. I think it's like an early 2000s. The only problem is it's missing the power button. So when I turn it on, at least the cover for the button. So when I turn it on, I have to stick my little pinky finger in there and actually push the little sensor on the board. Other than that, it works fine. That's right, Chris. You said it right there, buddy. You treat people like you would like to be treated, with respect, always. Well, I wish I could give a thumbs up to that. I'll give you a cool sign. How about that? 56 minutes, 18 watchers, and 19 likes. That's awesome. I'm glad this is becoming a success. And I was a little worried that we'd run out of things to talk about, but I'm a motor mouse, so I probably didn't have anything to worry about. Nick Roberts says rear projection TVs were the worst. Yeah, I'll never forget my old buddy Greg had a rear projection TV. I think it was a 42-inch Toshiba back around 1998, 1999. And we went over to watch The Matrix because The Matrix had just come out. And we started the movie. It was probably like an hour before it got dark, and even though they had the shade shut, there was still some light coming in. I'll never forget, I thought to myself, boy, it is so hard to see this TV. The only time that TV looked good was when it was pitch black. So yeah, I agree with you. They had the worst, and they had the worst viewing angles too. Like if you weren't sitting like right in front of you or right to the side, you were looking at ghost shadows pretty much. I-386, I saw a rear projection TV one time and it cost $18,000. Wow. I don't doubt it. Maybe when they first came out, I never had one. I was never that affluent. In other words, I never had the money for one. Basically, I'm happy with that TV right there. That's my 43-inch Insignia Roku TV. That's equivalent to the TCL brand out there. I wound up giving like $250 for that on sale, and it has been diehard reliable. Plus, I love the Roku. I love the built-in Roku because I have all my channels on there. I don't even use the Fios box anymore. I have Nick on there. I have all Fox. All the channels are just right through the Roku. And actually, on the back of that TV has an Ethernet port, so I have it wired directly into my router. Great speeds, never given me a day's trouble. If I have one complaint about it, it would be that crappy little Roku remote. They got to do something about that design. It's just horrible. The buttons are small, hard to see, but other than that, the TV itself is great. Lemon Air says, by the way, my favorite video of yours is the 5 big bags of cassettes from the estate sale. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Unfortunately, I've used most of those at this point. I may still have a few of them sitting up there on top of my little cassette holder. That was a great score. And the funny thing about that was I saw all those cassettes there, and I said, you know what? I will bet you I'm the only one to bid on them, and I was. They started out at $30. Nobody wanted it. They went down to 15, and as soon as they went down to 15, I said, here. And I probably could have gotten even cheaper than that, but I didn't want to risk that someone else would start bidding. So at $15, that was a great score. That little cabinet that I thought was for cassettes, but someone told me it would wind up being like a wine cabinet. That alone was worth the $15 I paid for it. I used that for a couple of years, and the swivel thing broke on it, and then we ceremoniously burned it in our pit fire one year. Good times, good reminiscing. Max O'Neill, I would love to see that. Yeah, I probably should have filmed that, but it was one of those nights we were just chillaxing. Eric Brunhammer said, do you remember those front projection TVs with the big base on the bottom of the screen that was slightly tilted down? I do. I've never seen one in person. That was really before my time. Those were really popular in the mid to late 70s and very early 80s. It'd be neat to see one that still works. I'm sure it'd be a really fascinating piece of history. Nick Roberts says, will you ever do any reviews on older cameras like you used to do? Probably not. And the reason is I'm not buying any more cameras like that. I have so many right now. I don't have room for the ones I have. That was another one of those things where it was fun while I did them, but now I'm kind of tired of it. So I'd have to say no. Can you, Ruben says, can you do a premiered video of a vlog? It is a new feature for YouTube. I've never heard of it. I'll have to look into that. Adam Whitaker, hi, my PC is SATA 2 and will SATA 3 work? Yes, it will, but you won't get SATA 3 speeds. It's all backwards compatible, so a SATA 3 will work in a SATA 2, a SATA 2 will work in a SATA 1. You just won't get the higher speeds. Nick Roberts wants to see some of my sweet dance moves. Should I do something really quick? Why not? We got a little bit of time. I will tell you right now, though, my dance moves are not all that sweet. Let's see. You walk like an Egyptian. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Walk like an Egyptian. Or do the swim. That was one from the 50s. Come on, everybody. Come on in. Bobby's going to show you how to do the swim. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Woo. That's about the extent of my dance moves, unless I'm with a partner and we're doing something like ballroom dancing. Oof, a little dizzy there for a moment. Let's reorientate this. Oh, there we go. Oh, a little too low. Much better. Watch the 8700 turn itself off as he dances. Not this time. Maybe about a year or two ago when I weighed about 100 pounds more than this. At that point, yeah, I probably could have shaken the room down, literally. Hang on a second. Got to crack my neck. Come on. Much better. Let's see. I think we're losing. No, we still got 18 watchers. That's pretty cool. Jonathan Grindle asks, any plans on upgrading the home theater PC, Matt, to an SSD? The home theater PC has an SSD in it. It's actually had an SSD in it now for about a year. Talking about the one that's over there. It's the Dell Precision T3400 that I need to upgrade to an SSD eventually. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I may not do any more upgrades to that computer, the one that's near my couch, the home theater PC, is because I really don't use it all that much. Mainly, I only use that during the holidays and when we live stream Netflix Christmas movies. Pup Dog wants to know if comments are going through. That one went through. Yeah, definitely. The HP one for my dad. Oh, you're talking about that little tiny HP that we have downstairs. Yeah, we don't even use that anymore. That computer hasn't been turned on in like a year and a half now. I've been trying to get him to use it, but we don't really need to because the TV we have downstairs is a smart TV. It's a good thing you remind me about that. I really need to reformat and sell that computer because it's literally just sitting there wasting away doing nothing. No, I probably would not put an SSD in that. I could. You know what? I'm not sure because I'm not exactly sure what kind of hard drive is in that. That may have a one of those really thin 2.5-inch hard drives, not the I don't know what they call them, but it's not like the regular laptop ones. The ones that are even thinner, and those you actually can't put SSDs in because they use a proprietary connector. Yes, I do. Yeah, I do still have that computer. It's just not being used. Okay, we're gonna end this thing because it's over an hour now, and I'm starting to get really tired. Couple more questions here. Matt, do you watch Judge Joe? Have you watched Judge Joe Brown before? No, no, never watched Judge Joe Brown. Max O'Neill said 1.8-inch drives, and yes, there are SSDs for them now. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, we're ending this live stream. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Please stay tuned tomorrow. It's going to be going on for 2 more days. And please help me out here a little bit. If you guys are not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe because I'm still noticing a lot of people that watch my videos have not actually subscribed to my channel. It only takes a minute. Go down there on my page, click that subscribe button, and go ahead and click that little bell icon on the right next to it, and that'll enable notifications so you guys will know when I'm ready to upload a new video, or I upload a new video, or I'm ready to do another live stream. All right, tubers, I think I've rambled on long enough tonight. Have a blessed evening, everybody. A blessed evening, everybody.